The New York Yankees suffered a loss last night on a walk-off to the Boston Red Sox, and it wasn't a loss that I believed the Yankees had because the pitchers didn't pitch great in this game. They only allowed 2 runs. Yes, they navigated in and out of traffic all day, but ultimately, this bullpen did enough to win the game, in my opinion. But what happened was that they didn't have enough to cover that 10th inning. They could not go to a right-handed reliever because both Mark Leiter Jr. and Devin Williams were unavailable. They were used 2 days in a row. And you couldn't really go to Scott Efros or Yerry De Los Santos because Aaron Boone doesn't trust those guys in those spots, and understandably so. So today we're going to talk about relievers they could add at the deadline because come postseason time or in the second half particularly, you don't want to deal with a bullpen that can't get you through these kinds of games. I know they're nursing the Luke Weaver injury, and that is tough. Losing Jake Cousins again because his elbow acted up during his rehab assignment is a tough blow. But this bullpen can be better, and I think the Yankees have assets they can deal at this deadline that can help them acquire quality relievers. They have a very good track record with acquiring relievers at the deadline, and so I'm going to look at 3 guys who I believe are perfect targets for the Yankees. Before we get into this list, here's some of the things I targeted for relievers. I wanted good velocity, I wanted good strikeout rates, and I also wanted some years of control, or at least a year of control beyond the 2025 season. I believe by checking off all 3 of these boxes, the Yankees are both protecting themselves from a Renzel who could blow up on them and just lose a trade like that, and it gives them a little bit of time to also get value from them in 2026. Both Devin Williams and Luke Weaver are free agents at the end of the 2025 season, and so I want to make sure the Yankees bolster their bullpen not just for 2025, but for 2026 as well, and protect themselves from potentially losing 2 of the better relievers in baseball. Without further ado, though, let's get into today's video. Let's start by talking about Reid Detmers. Reid Detmers is a left-handed reliever for the Los Angeles Angels who has a 5.22 ERA, a 2.77 FIP, a 28.9% strikeout rate, and a 10.2% walk rate across 26 appearances. In those 26 appearances, he's recorded 29 and a third innings pitched, meaning that he is more than capable of providing more than just 3 outs in an outing. He was a starter throughout his entire Major League career, making starts for the Los Angeles Angels from 2021 to 2024, and having varying levels of success. A very good 2022 season, a solid, not great 2023 season, and then an outright abhorrent 2024 season when you look at results. But the underlying metrics always suggested that Reid Detmers was a capable swing-and-miss arm who just needed to find some form of consistency, particularly with his strike-throwing abilities. I feel as if Reid Detmers' 10.2% walk rate is something that could bug some fans, but with that high strikeout rate, I'm going to tolerate it, and I'm going to say that the stuff is going to play really well. We're also going to look at that ERA at 5.22 and say that I think the Yankees wouldn't mind acquiring a reliever with a high ERA. The Yankees traditionally, at the trade deadline, will target guys with good ERAs and really good underlying numbers, and Reid Detmers has a 2.97 expected ERA. His expected ERA is nearly half of his actual ERA, and really a lot of the earned runs that came against Detmers came in a stretch where he was just abhorrent. I mean, he had a 3-outing stretch where he allowed 12 earned runs, and he has 17 total earned runs in the season. Since that point in time, Reid Detmers has only allowed 1 earned run and has struck out 23 of the 59 batters he's faced. That is a 39% strikeout rate. We've also noticed an uptick in velocity for Detmers. He is now sitting 96 miles per hour over that stretch, and so that added velocity is something that I really covet. I think the Yankees adding a left-handed reliever who can sit at 96 miles per hour on their fastball is something that would really differ from what they have, number 1, from the left-handed side, and number 2, just what they have in their bullpen. The Yankees are both bottom 5 in 4-seam and sinker velocity this season as a bullpen, and I believe Detmers would help in that regard. As for the rest of his repertoire, he has a really good curveball that sits around 73 to 74 miles an hour and has tons of movement both vertically and horizontally. Reid Detmers throws this curveball to either A, steal strikes, freeze hitters, or B, generate soft contact, as it only has around a 25% whiff rate, which isn't a high whiff rate for a breaking ball. That doesn't make it a bad pitch, though, and batters have had a really tough time hitting his curveball because there's a ton of movement and it is so slow. It's about 20 miles an hour slower than his fastball, so it is a really hard pitch for hitters to pick up on, and I believe it's a very effective weapon that I just love. I love a good, slow curveball from a lefty. I think those pitches are just it's a classic pitch. It's a pitch that is as old as baseball itself. Now, for his slider differs a lot from his curveball. While his curveball is one of the slower curveballs in baseball, his slider is one of the hardest sliders in baseball. It sits at 88 miles an hour and has good gyro action, meaning that he spins it more like a football, causing it to have a lot of vertical drop and not move a lot horizontally. While not having a lot of horizontal movement may sound like a bad thing, that vertical movement and the way it plays off of his fastball makes this pitch a great pitch. It's awesome against lefties and righties. He can bury it down and into righties. He can bury it down and away to lefties. And it's a firm slider. He's hit 90 miles per hour in his slider before. It is a pitch that I believe plays beautifully off that four-seam fastball. And considering he's a left-handed reliever, you don't want a big sweeping breaking ball as much as you want a tight spinning, high-velocity one. If you're talking about sliders, you don't want sweepers. You want gyro sliders if you're a lefty, because sweepers tend to have a big platoon effect. So sweepers are really bad against opposite-handed hitters, and if you're a lefty, you're going to be facing more righties than you are lefties, so you do not want a pitch that platoons poorly against righties, and you don't want that to be your primary slider. So Detmers has shown the ability to throw a slider before. He featured one before, but I would prefer if he keeps this gyro slider, maybe adds a sweeper to help him a little more against lefties. Although lefties have not been the problem for him this year, it's been righties. Righties are hitting 277 with a 434 slugging percentage. Again, a lot of bad luck there. He's only allowed 2 home runs against right-handed batters. There's been a really high BABIP against him, and BABIP is going to play a huge role in ERA. I mean, your batting average on balls in play, it's always going to play a huge role in your ERA. And at 395, that's just unsustainably high. There's no way he's going to hold a 395 batting average on balls in play allowed throughout the 2025 season. And in fact, that number should only get lower as the season goes on. And that's why the Yankees should go after Detmers, because in all likelihood, his ERA is going to have to correct itself. And by correcting itself, it's going to be extremely good, unsustainably good the rest of the way, most likely. That's something I want the Yankees to buy on. I think that's someone that the Yankees could immediately bring into their bullpen and get a lot of value out of. And again, when we refer to that high BABIP, his BABIP at 395 is the 7th highest. It's in the top 10 for any pitcher, not relievers, just any pitcher with at least 20 innings pitched. It's funny because Mark Leiter Jr. is here at 4. He's another guy who I believe he has really bad luck. Luck is going to play a huge role in whether ERA is going to be good or not. That's why we look at things like FIP, expected ERA, expected FIP, etc., etc. Moving on to another reliever, though, we're going to be talking about right-handed reliever David Bednar. David Bednar is someone who I believe a lot of Yankee fans may know because he was a former All-Star, but last year he was utterly atrocious. He was awful. He had a 5.77 ERA, lost his closer job, and then had to come into the 2025 season and prove himself, which he has. He has a 3.42 ERA this year, a 34.4% strikeout rate, and a 5.2% walk rate. Bednar has a 2.15 FIP this season and has one of the best 3-pitch mixes you'll see for a reliever. His fastball sits at 97 miles an hour with good vertical ride from a rather average arm angle and average release height, which is a good thing. When you get way more vertical ride on a pitch while throwing it from the same arm slot as most pitchers, that results in a really deceptive profile. His four-seamer doesn't have great results this year, but it's better than where it was last year. It still gets some swings and misses, and it's more of a setup pitch. He's stopped using his four-seam fastball as this pitch he can just overpower hitters with in the middle of the zone, and has started using his secondaries more aggressively. His curveball is a pitch that has nearly 20 miles per hour of velocity separation off of his four-seam fastball, while simultaneously having a massive differential in vertical movement. His curveball has 53.7 inches of drop. It is a nasty, nasty pitch. And then his splitter is also a nasty pitch. It generates a 39.5% whiff rate, and it's thrown really hard at 92.4 miles an hour, while having about 13.1 inches of induced vertical separation. So a lot of vertical separation on the fastball and the secondaries. That makes those secondaries really good. He gets a ton of swings and misses on those secondary pitches. He's throwing them more often. And I really love where his repertoire is at. He's a 2.76 expected ERA. There are some concerns here. He has a 9th percentile barrel rate. He gets hit pretty hard, but he doesn't allow a lot of home runs. So I wonder if maybe there's a way the Yankees can correct some of those barrel issues because, again, the stuff is so good. The swing and miss metrics are so good. A 96th percentile strikeout rate and an 88th percentile walk rate. This is a pitcher who is dominating the strikeout to walk rate category better than he has at any point in his career, and I believe the Yankees can desperately use that in their bullpen. bullpen. Again, strikeouts and velocity were two things that really targeted, and with Bednar having another year of control after 2025, I believe he is a perfect fit for the back end of this bullpen. And when you want to talk about unfair, a bullpen that has Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, and David Bednar in the back end for the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, that's just not fair. That's unbelievable. That's ridiculous. You get a ton of swing and miss there, a ton of upside, and opposing lineups are going to have a tough time clawing back in games against the Yankees, and that shortens the game to 6 innings. If Carlos Rodon gives you 6 effective innings, if Clark Schmidt gives you 6 effective innings, which Schmidt has given you 6 innings more this year than he has at any point in his career, you have a reliever or a reliever group that can dominate in the late game situations. You still have Fernando Cruz. You still have Mark Leiter Jr. You still have Tim Hill as middle inning guys. Jonathan Loaizaga has pitched a little bit better in his last few outings. Maybe he's someone who can be a middle inning guy. There is just a lot of upside that you add to your bullpen, and Bednar is someone who can also close in the 9th inning as well, which does give you some protection in case both Weaver and Williams walk in free agency, although I doubt both relievers end up walking, barring some form of injury. With that being said, though, let's talk about the final reliever on this list, and that is Jake Bird, who I believe is my number 1 target for relievers. After looking at some of his numbers, after giving him a little more time to pitch and kind of see if the regression was going to come for him, he has been remarkable for the Colorado Rockies this season, and there are a lot of things that are supposed to be working against him. Number 1, the Colorado Rockies have the worst defense in baseball with negative 41 defensive runs saved, and number 2, Coors Field is a nightmare for pitchers to pitch in. Despite both of those variables, Bird has a 2.06 ERA, a 2.52 FIP, a 2.85 expected FIP. He has struck out 51 batters in 39 and a third innings pitched. He has only allowed 2 home runs. He has walked 16 batters, which is kind of high. That is a 10.1% walk rate. But with that 32.1% strikeout rate, you'll take it. There's elite damage prevention here, and the stuff is gross. He throws a sinker at 94.2 miles an hour, a big sweeping slider at 84 miles an hour, and a massive curveball, tons of drop and lateral movement at 80 miles an hour. Now, Bird is someone capable of pitching multiple innings for you. He has pitched 3 innings in an appearance this season, and he has pitched beyond the 2nd inning 2 other times on top of that. He's completed 2 innings or more multiple times this year. He is someone who's capable of being a multi-inning reliever for the Yankees if they acquire him to be that. And what I also really like about Bird and his profile is that unlike most crossbody guys where like they throw from this low arm angle and have sinkers and sweepers, he does not have extreme splits against lefties. He has handled left-handed batters really well this season. Left-handed hitters are hitting just 232 against them with a 31.2% strikeout rate and a 6.5% walk rate. He actually has better underlying numbers against lefties than he does against righties. So what makes Jake Bird my number 1, though? Like my number 1 guy. I didn't rank Bednar and Detmers against each other. You can interchange them however you'd like. But Jake Bird should be the Yankees' number 1 relief target because Jake Bird has some of the best stuff in baseball. He has a 113 stuff plus, which is one of the better marks in the league, despite pitching most of his games in a home ballpark that actively suppresses pitch movement. His sinker is nasty. It has a negative launch angle allowed. His slider generates 14 inches of arm side movement, and he releases the ball so wide that that pitch is absolutely devastating when thrown away from righties or into lefties. And his curveball is so good. It is an equalizer. It is what allows him to be so effective against left-handed batters. It's averaging nearly 16 inches of horizontal sweep while also generating over 50 inches of vertical drop. Bird does such a good job of attacking hitters with really, really, really good pitches, and he does such a good job of avoiding damage contact. He's a strikeout machine. He doesn't have a lot of flaws, and for those reasons, I believe Jake Bird should be the Yankees' number 1 reliever target. He also has 3 years of control after the 2025 season, so he's someone who can be either A, a long-term setup man, or even B, a long-term closer for you. He is versatile, he's dynamic, he's effective against both lefties and righties, and as a sinker-sweeper pitcher, he is perfect for what the Yankees like to target in their bullpen. So Jake Bird, just an unbelievable target if the Yankees can get him. Someone who is also very different from Devin Williams and Luke Weaver as a reliever. He throws very differently from both of them. He features 2 pitches in his repertoire that neither pitcher features, which is a big sweeping slider or an effective sinker. So he's someone who's different from those two. He's going to stand out from those two, and he's going to stand out from a lot of pitchers in the Yankee staff. They don't have as many sinker-sweeper guys from the right-handed side as you would think, and so I would love Jake Bird in this bullpen. unfortunately, would have to shave a little bit of his beard, but he gets to keep a good portion of his beard this time, so you don't have to worry about that. And while the Rockies would ask for a lot, I'm comfortable trading with the Rockies because I don't believe the Colorado Rockies are going to maximize a player that we give them. And if they do, I won't really care as long as the Yankees win. So, yeah, I think Jake Bird is the best pitcher the Yankees can acquire this deadline for their bullpen. Maybe someone else pops up that I didn't know was going to be available. The only concern I do have is the Rockies have thrown him a ton this year. They have relied on him a lot because their bullpen is, for lack of better words, atrocious. There's no other way to put it. Their bullpen is the worst in baseball. He's thrown the most innings for any reliever this year, but I believe that the Yankees would bring him in and dial down those innings. He does not need to be a 2 or 3 inning guy out of the bullpen for the New York Yankees, but I do like the fact that he's capable of doing it because in the postseason, you may want him to do that. You may want him to be someone who is capable of doing that for you in a postseason environment. So that is something that could be valuable for the Yankees. And another thing that gives me a little bit of optimism here is that he does have a bit of a background throwing multiple innings, throwing as many as 5 innings in an outing. He threw 5 innings in an outing at the single A level in 2019. He seemed to have been someone who the Rockies were comfortable stretching out, so he just seems to be a more versatile, dynamic, and more capable of accumulating volume as a reliever than most relievers. That'll wrap up this video, though. Let me know which of these 3 relievers you liked. Are there relievers you would like me to talk about outside of these 3? Again, let us know in the comment section below. I'm Ryan Garcia. This is Fireside Yankees. We really appreciate your continued support. You can check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and, of course, this YouTube page. You can also check out our website, EmpireSportsMedia.com, for written coverage on all of your favorite New York sports teams. And finally, I'm Ryan Garcia. You can follow me on Twitter at Ryan Garcia ESM. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out. Let's go Yankees.
Perfect.